Messy Church is back again, a bit late this month, but we've had such excitement with Easter and all the things that have been going on in church. We didn't think you'd mind. So we're planning it this Wednesday. We're going to have goodie bags and we will have them delivered again this month. Hopefully soon we'll be able to meet up again in person, face to face, which will be just lovely because COVID's getting better. Our churches are beginning to open. And you never know, in the midsummer we're both celebrating with a big party outside or something. That would be super, wouldn't it? But thinking about this month, as I say, we're going to deliver goodie bags and there's lots of fun things to see inside and do. But they're all related to a Bible story. So it makes sense. I'm going to tell you the story, right? So the Bible story is called The Road to Emmaus. Now, this is about two disciples of Jesus. They're Cleopas and a friend. We don't actually know his friend's name, but it's Cleopas and his friend. And they were disciples of Jesus and had been following him round the country, listening to things he said. And they thought he was the chosen one that would save us all. Anyhow, this particular week they went to Jerusalem, as lots of Jewish people did, because it was a big Jewish festival. It was the Passover, where they celebrated being released from Egypt out of slavery. And they were delivered. They went every year to celebrate anybody that could get there. It was a massive celebration. Indeed, that was why Jesus was going to Jerusalem on the Sunday before our Easter Sunday now. He went on Palm Sunday and rode into Jerusalem on a donkey, and the crowds cheered and waved palm leaves, and it was just this wonderful time. And during the next few days, Jesus did lots of things in Jerusalem. He turned over the tables in the temples and said this is a place of worship, not a place to make money, and lots of other things. And he healed people and he looked after people and told them stories. And they made the priests very, very angry, because this wasn't what they expected people to, or how they expected people to behave. And they wanted to get rid of him because all the people seemed to love him and they wanted to get rid of him, and they plotted. And eventually he was betrayed by Judas in the Garden of Gethsemane and taken by the priests, tried and sentenced to death on the cross by crucifixion. And on the Friday of that week, Jesus was crucified. His followers were, desperately sad, so sad. It was awful. And Jesus was put in a tomb, and the tomb entrance was covered with a stone. So this was a time of great sadness for all his disciples, all his followers. And on the Sunday after the Friday, 3 days later, Cleopas and his friend were walking home from Jerusalem. All the celebrations had ended, and they were trudging along a long, weary, dusty path, actually, to Emmaus, where they lived. And as they talked about the last week's events between themselves. They were chatting. But that Sunday morning, before they left Jerusalem, they heard a rumour that Mary Magdalene, one of Jesus' disciples, had been to his tomb, found it empty, and seen Jesus alive. Well, that would be wonderful news, but how could that really be? They didn't understand it, but they were talking about it. So they were trudging and walking and talking and trudging. It was a long walk, actually, hot and dusty. And a stranger came up behind and started joining them and asked, "What are you talking about? Can I ask what you're talking about?" And they told him all about Jesus. They thought he must have heard all the news of what had happened, but anyhow, they told him about Jesus' arrival and his crucifixion, and they said to him, we thought he was the chosen one that was going to see and save us all. He was the one God had chosen. But now he's dead, crucified. But we did hear a rumour this morning that he was alive. Mary Magdalene had seen him alive. Well, how could that be? he said to the stranger. The stranger listened to all this. And he said, do you remember in the Old Testament what the prophets said? They said, the chosen one will come and walk among you as a man, and he will be put to death. But after 3 days, he will rise from the dead. Now, if this Jesus has risen from the dead and is alive, he must be the chosen one. So they talked more with this stranger, and as they walked and talked, they reached Emmaus, their home. The stranger was looking set to go on, but they said, please, we've enjoyed it. Please come in and join us for supper and stay the night. Break your journey and go in the morning. The stranger came in. So they walked and talked round the kitchen, and they prepared a meal for the 3 of them. And they put the food on the table, and they all sat down, and the stranger said, would you mind if I said a prayer over the food? No, of course not. No, of course not. And so the stranger said a prayer over the food. And when he'd finished the prayer, he took the bread and he broke it. And as he did this, Cleopas and the disciple looked at him, and they realised he wasn't a stranger at all. It was Jesus. He was alive. He'd been walking with them and they just hadn't recognised him. It was Jesus, alive again. And Jesus just disappeared. They looked and they couldn't see him. He had gone, just disappeared, vanished. But they knew he was there. They knew he had been with them, and they knew he was alive. He was the chosen one. He must be. He'd risen from the dead 3 days later, as the prophets had said. Well, they were so full of joy. Didn't know what to do, so excited. And so they thought, we must make sure we tell everybody this good news. So they got up and they ran all along that dreadfully long, dusty road. They ran, jumping around, telling anybody they met, Jesus is alive, we've seen him, Jesus is alive. And when they reached Jerusalem, they went to see everybody and make sure as many people as possible knew this fantastic news. Just bubbled up out of them. And that was the joy and the wonder of Easter for them, the wonder and joy of Easter for all of us. And the spreading of the good news. Gospel means good news. And that's the story that we're going to be talking about today. The road to Emmaus. I think perhaps it should be called the road to Emmaus and the road from Emmaus. The long, weary dread and the run of bouncing with joy back again. In your goodie bags, you get lots of little things all relating to this story, that you can think about it again, and the tremendous joy everybody has over Easter. Now, it's lovely to speak to you all. I hope we'll see each other properly soon. I'm sure we will, because things are getting much better. But God bless you all.